So it's now Sunday morning. We're not doing a lot today, but I did promise some of our customers at Scranton that we would have 50-pound bags starting Monday. And so we're gonna try and get a couple done. Mom has one white ordered, which is Sammy is starting on right now. Then we're gonna do an extra one for her for the farm market. And then Sammy's gonna start getting just a couple extra for Scranton. This is all the potatoes we have dug at the moment, which is the biggest amount that we have dug all season long so far. But it's still not even that big compared to what we're gonna be getting into here in a couple of weeks. For storage, we'll put them in those plastic bins that you've seen around the farm, and we'll just stack them up in here. Sometimes, if we have a really good harvest, almost all the way back to the door. And what she'll do is, she won't put the real tiny ones in, like this guy here, but everything else, for the most part, will go. Obviously, if she finds a bad one or a skinned up one, that'll go in another basket to go up and get washed, and then that'll be sold for a number 2. We bag them dirty because they last longer, or at least that's what we would like to assume anyway. That's how they store in here all the way up until like March or April for us into the 2025 season. But some people do want them washed and then bagged. I just don't think they last quite as long, but I guess that's all personal preference. While Sammy works on potatoes, I'm coming in here to the high tunnel to grab some tomatoes for, again, market tomorrow. I've been picking in here the last couple times because we have 2. This is our upper one, then we have a lower one. But the lower one is very cleaned out, and this is basically our only option at this point. They are still ripening. We take basically any color at this point. We take oranges, pinks, solid reds. Doesn't matter if they're beautiful or a little bit not so nice. That one I'm gonna put on top though, just because I'm afraid it might rot. It's okay. We always take the stem off so that when you're stacking them, that stem won't poke the next one underneath of it. And like I said, we're not picky at all. Our field tomatoes are done now. This is the only option we have. So big, small, not so perfect, perfect, whatever they are, we're taking them. I know I haven't picked this road yet in a while though, so I'm going to kind of start over here. So after potatoes and tomatoes got done, we came down here to the late season cole crops. Sammy's in the bin, stacking the cabbage. I'm obviously picking. All of our round, which is one row here, and all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows over here are not ready yet. They're making head. And actually that one, I'll probably even pick that one. They're close, but they're just not quite there yet. So what we're focusing on is Savoy and the flat, because that's a little bit bigger. And we're only gonna pick around half a bin, then get some broccoli and move on. That's actually the biggest head around so far yet. I would say by Wednesday or Friday for sure, we'll be able to really start picking this. And then over here is the flat. I think its technical name is Gunma, but I'm not 100% positive on that. Can you catch with one hand, Sammy?
You can try.
Wow, look at that. Show them what that one. And then this here.
Oh gosh.
If I can find a nice head without falling.
I didn't
which
get
they say is a sweeter leaf, and you can see how much darker and curlier the leaves are.
So cabbage is done. Got a good mix. We actually got a couple more round than I thought we would. Now we're moving on to broccoli. We've been picking this slowly for the past week or so, getting a couple here and there, but this might be the biggest harvest we get yet, which will be 2 bushel baskets.
Wow. They're nice.
Right here. We'll start right here. That one's actually a little bit big. You can see how it's getting some of those brown beads on the top. But not bad by no means. I actually didn't know these were this ready right here on the peak of the hill. I thought they were smaller, so I wasn't really worrying about them. I was picking the ends. We're getting a little bit of this scabbing right here on the stalk, if you can see that. We don't exactly know what it's from, but I don't think it hurts the broccoli in any way. And it's more right here on the hill. So I don't know if it was from being stressed out early on or what. These are tiny, but I don't know if they're gonna grow anymore. And here's the broccoli. There's one, and we couldn't really fit it in the back, so we had to put it up here in between us, and there's 2. All beautiful. There's a lot more out here, but besides those couple heads I showed you in the beginning, I really don't think it's getting ahead of us. And then last is gonna be kale. Usually put around like 5 to 6 leaves in a bunch. Oh, that's pretty good. Kind of revamp. Today is now Monday. My dad just left for the Scranton Farmers Market, and I'm down here at the potato field. Gonna start digging some white potatoes. From here all the way down to the end where it meets our hay is all potatoes. Up in the top here is red, down below there is white. And then these 4 rows up here are all peppers. Most of these are hot, like cherry, long hots, and then I think some bush peppers. And then we have 1 row of Cuban right there. Come right around the circle, and we have our late season cole crops. Last time I dug, I said I was gonna mow these, or my dad was, one of the 2 of us, and I didn't get that done yet. But luckily, you can see there's really not many weeds. It's not gonna be too big of an issue. I'm starting out here in the reds, but then these 2 rows of red, from what dad tells me, are gonna transition into white. So I'm gonna have the camera set up. Hopefully you can see it transition. I don't know exactly how far I'm gonna have to go out until that happens, but I'm gonna go and just, you know, see what happens when that gets there. If you haven't been watching the videos, this is the digger. How it works is this shoe or blade is gonna go down into the ground. It's gonna go underneath the potatoes, bring them up onto the chain here. The chain is gonna bring the potatoes back and then drop them down onto the ground on top, where then Francisco and Eric and maybe myself will come through and pick the potatoes up, leaving the bad ones back if we don't want them. The nice thing about it being wet is it's gonna kind of carry that mud across the chains instead of just bouncing down through, and then it's not going to bruise up the potatoes as bad. So I'm really excited for that. So Eric and Francisco are down there picking up the red and then the start of the whites. These are not our normal Evas that you've seen me digging before. These are now Norwis, which they're not quite as perfectly shaped as an Eva. And these are in a yellow potato, not a white potato, even though they look very similar in color. I think for the most part they taste the same, but I don't really know. They look like they're yielding just about the same as the Evas. I guess we'll see though when they get the baskets picked up. I'm gonna go a little bit further though, just because I want more white, or yellow technically. I'm thinking between Eric and the back of the potato digger, there's around 10 to 12 baskets. I'd like to have around 15 to 20. So I'm just gonna scoot along a little bit yet. Noticing like a little bit of a black spot on these. And we obviously do not want the basket. We grow a lot more Evas than we do Norwis, but there is certain people that like yellow. We know that we grow it, so we always make sure we put a couple on the ground. So after potatoes, I came up here with Mom into the field tomatoes one last time to try and just find anything that's anywhat good. We are actually still seeing some though that aren't bad. They're obviously not huge and they're not perfect, but they're not bad. So I'm gonna be pretty picky on what I take because I don't want it to rot in the box. But so far these couple I'm getting are nice. We've had a lot of rain lately, and so that really doesn't help them. If they're laying on the plastic, it'll just rot the bottoms, but if they're hanging up a little bit, for the most part, they're half decent. We went through, obviously, when they were good and got everything we could find that was anywhat decent to sell, but now it's towards the tail end. So after getting tomatoes, which is these 3 boxes here, me and Mom came in here to the shed. Here's the potatoes the guys got, red beets that me, Mom, and the guys got, and then all this, which the guys got earlier today. We're gonna wash everything, put it in the cooler, what needs to go in there, like all of the peppers and eggplant. Then the potatoes will just get stacked outside here and get covered with a blanket, that way they don't turn green, being exposed to the sunlight. So we just got out here now and we're starting to load. Me, Eric, and Francisco and Marcus went through, cut all the nice ones right down the field in the drive road that we were working on, and just lined them up. That way we can just go through now with the tractor and stack them in the bins. You can see we have a pile right here. We cleaned this section for the most part. Obviously there's some that just aren't real nice. Like if it has a spot like that, we won't put it in. We have another pile here, and they're all pretty large. And then if you can see right on down through the field here, we have like 3 or 4 more piles. Only picking out like the fanciest of them. And then if for some reason we come through and pick everything else in the field, we'll come back through and take them. But there's so many pumpkins out here, there's no way we'll sell them all. But we're gonna try. We're getting like 32 pumpkins in a tall bin, which isn't very many, but like I said, they're just so big that we can't fit anymore. You don't want any of these bins stackable, do you? 32 in a bit. Okay. We finished up the large pumpkins. Now we're moving into the sugar. And we did the same exact thing. Just lined them up. And now we're throwing them right in. We're thinking we needed around 400. And you can see we have them lined up all the way, about a quarter of the way up to the row. So I just got back here to the farm, got the bins unloaded. Sugar, big one, sugar, and then 3 more bigs. Hopefully it doesn't rain. If it does, we might have to run down and put these in the shed. We just don't have a lot of room, and there's not really a good chance. So we're gonna try and leave them out because the guy's gonna pick them up tomorrow.